Thank you for joining us. I'm Carole Adrienne, and this is Student Docs. Investigative journalism brings us an enhanced sensory experience through documentary films. We're able to connect with the subject matter even more intensely with the addition of image and sound. Villanova University students have produced a 4-part series called RELENTNESS, tackling the grim reality of the opioid crisis in our country. Professor Steve McWilliams guides this informational and humanitarian journey about recovery. Today's episode is called The Last Stop, and we're going to surprise you with an extraordinary man from Kensington who is achieving remarkable things with his unusual program. Steve, I had the opportunity to watch all 4 segments, and I have to say, as a filmmaker, I'm meticulous and very picky and extremely critical of my own work and everyone else's. And yours escaped my criticism. It was so beautifully done. I would say it was beautiful emotional camera work, judicious use of music, intense interviews. Just, it was wonderful. And you founded this program at Villanova, I understand.
I did, along with John O'Leary. So thanks for the compliments, but we got to spread that out. Not aiming them at me. I was just an agent in the field there. The students did a remarkable work. A lot of them never touched a camera before, and it really. I have to give a lot of credit to Matt Morensic and John O'Leary, who are my 2 partners in this. And Matt's just a really gifted filmmaker and a gifted teacher, and he really can translate to students sort of artistic ideas. And so a lot of that stuff you're talking about, I give it back to him. He's really, we're just lucky to have him and lucky to be, he's part of our program. And John, of course, and I have been at this for probably about 15 years, all told. We came up with the idea, and then we had to sell it for a while, and then to a reluctant university because it's a new program, it's going to cost money. So it was slow going, and then we started, and we haven't looked back since. And we actually have 2 sections of it now. The other section has done some great films. They just won an Academy Award. So we're really proud of the program and what it's been able to accomplish, basically taking students who, and they don't have to be film or communication, they can be from any major, and we train them in a couple weeks, and then we start filming, and they learn on the job. We form like a film company, and we try to tackle on an issue that's going to focus light on positive social change, really, which is really the mission. It's got a social justice component, and when I say social justice component, I don't mean that in a political term, meaning we really want to bring light to underserved issues or under-publicized issues, and really focus light on those people quietly working in the fields to make positive social change. So we hope that fits under the social justice, definition. So we're really proud of it, and I'm really glad you liked it. So thanks for your compliments.
I did. I was blown away by Ed Z. Now, he's the subject of the film that we're going to see now, and what a remarkable person. How did you find him?
Just by the grace of God. I mean, it was just a lot. You're a filmmaker. A lot of this is luck, and if you find the right person at the right time, they take your project in another direction. Our initial project was to focus on the second piece, the methadone piece in South Philadelphia that we had. We were going to do a deal with the Jefferson Health System to cover opioid addiction recovery from a methadone perspective. And this is not in any way a criticism, but there were a lot of limitations because it's Jefferson Health System. So under HIPAA and things like that, it just wasn't going to translate into a 30 or 40-minute movie realistically, because we weren't sure what the access we were going to get. That's a big deal, how much access you get. A friend of mine, Paul Morris, who's a priest, does all kinds of ministries in the city, prison ministry and addiction counseling and things like that. He was a friend of Eddie Z's, and he said, "You got to meet this guy Eddie Z." When he found out we were doing something on addiction, he says, "You got to find this guy Eddie Z." So I called Eddie Z out of the blue, and he's exactly how he appears on TV. He is just he's central casting. He's made for TV. He's made for film, and the guy was so open. I went down to see him, and he just so trusted us to come down and do it. Didn't have any kind of pretense about anything he did. It was just really humble that he was just saving lives one life at a time. And I just was so impressed with his approach, not just to others, but his own humility, his own I don't think he realizes the effect he's had and how he's in this little place, this little corner of the world, how he changes lives one at a time. And I just think that's a great theme. And I think a lot of us don't really know how to tackle change sometimes, and we think we got to tackle the global picture. And so when you see somebody doing it remarkably, and with the commitment he does, just one guy at a time. And I think, we were talking earlier about the boat scene, which people will see, and how just the simple act of picking up trash by the river as a method of therapy, it's so incredible. It's so incredibly simple, but yet so incredibly effective. So that's a little bit about Eddie Z. I'll let people make their own determination, but I've had it's just a great guy, and I love going down there. It's just amazing. And in fact, I have to get down there, and I have to keep that relationship going.
Oh yes, what an extraordinary man, and we can't wait to show you and introduce you to Eddie Z. So we will be back after the last stop.
They ask me what I do, what works for me. I get on my knees first thing in the morning, and I ask them for the strength. So far, things are going good. He's seen me through some rough times. A lot of stuff happened to me. And for me, at a certain point in my life, without Christ, I can't do nothing. Let's keep it real. Everything that I have is because of him. And Alcohol's Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous. That's it. It was rough. My mom raised 7 of us by herself. And I'm from this neighborhood, and I was in and out. I was a taker. I never gave back. First it was cigarettes, sniffing glue, smoking dust, tattoos. I was a wannabe. What they did, I did. And I just got caught up with that. And plus, I couldn't read or write. I was in a special classroom. People used to make fun of me, used to call us retarded, this, that, and this. And I just wanted to fit in and blend in, and I didn't know, but thank God for other men and women who planted seeds, showed me, and it stayed in the back of my mind too. I was willing to say, I'm done. My way don't work. Enough's enough. Let somebody else help me, because every time I think of something or try to do it this way, it backfires.
When my dad was using, he was notorious in Kensington of all places, so it really is amazing, how far he's come from this side to that side. And that's why I think he's so good at relating to the people that are down there, because he's really been there.
This is Somerset and Kensington. It's well known. Drugs, alcohol, prostitution is close to the L. People can come right down here to meet me. This is one of the closest spots, and it's one of the roughest spots. This is an AA and NA clubhouse. We talk about alcohol and drugs. I said, you know what? We'll take guys with nothing, no ID, no insurance. My goal is for me to stay sober, and if I stay sober, if I can touch one other person, that's the goal. This wall here is for the people who OD'd, and the wall to my left is the people who are a year and up sobriety. There's a lot of people who came through here and they're still sober, married, kids. There's a lot of guys. But again, when I first bought that building, everybody, it ain't gonna work. So it was the best gamble I ever did. What's up, man?
Eddie's one of them people, no matter your situation, you can always come to the last stop.
We search you, make sure you don't have no drugs on you, get you a cup of coffee, a cigarette, make you feel at home.
When I was going through some hard times, and I really didn't have no direction. I saw his place, and I stopped in. He came up to me and said, "Get this guy a coffee."
It's not like a regular treatment center, you know, but Eddie, like you come here to the last stop, and Eddie will take you with him, like whatever he's doing for like the next 2 or 3 days, maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks, you know. He just keep you up under him.
You know, I came here about 5 years ago to get sober from New Jersey, and Eddie just takes in people with open arms. He doesn't ask you for any money, anything. He just wants you to get sober and experience the program.
And if you really mean it and you got some clean time under your belt, he just seems to know. Like a mechanic can listen to a car and tell where the noise is coming from. Well, he can pretty much do that with people.
Basically, we all started out the same. You know, it was fun in the beginning, but then after a while, you start getting to harder stuff, and then it becomes necessary. You need it every day.
People get high to escape from reality. They can't deal with what's really happening. So we run. Well, I run.
Sometimes it's hard watching him kill himself. You know, it's hard, but you know what? Anything's possible. I look at my life, and I was just as bad as him. So maybe something might happen.
I'm done. It's either death or recovery. I choose recovery. So there's only one place I know for help for divided addiction, and that's the last stop.
Now, if they're really bad, I take them down a river. If they're out of their mind, we go clean up. Some dudes are literally, the guys, Ed, we don't know what to do with this. This dude's flipping out. So I bring him down here with me. Helps them not to think of drugs and alcohol. They're out here cleaning up, and with the art, something clicks with somebody. It gets them out of their head. Instead of thinking of dope and crack, it buys me another day. Because at 1 minute, they might change their mind. Hopefully we can make a difference. We are. 23 years being at the club, and people told me it wasn't even going to work.
I came down here a little over a month ago, and I've been with Eddie since. I'm in recovery now. You know, I've been in recovery other times in my life, but I struggle. I've had relapses. He figures nobody else is cleaning up, or why can't he clean up? So he went and bought a boat, and now he takes us out. It's one of the things that we and the guys in the last stop can do. A, to help our recovery, but B, to give back, you know, because big part of recovery is not thinking of yourself only. When I'm thinking of myself only, that's when I head back towards destructive behavior. It's one of the most relaxing things to do. We do a lot of different types of stuff at the last stop. But they're straight ahead there, Captain, 11 o'clock. Yeah, this is it. And it's like one thing at a time. Pick it up one thing at a time. Let's see what we can get out of this area here. See, this is all the trash we collected today so far. There's one over here, Ed. Can we circle a little closer to that? We're picking up piece by piece of garbage. This is what the last stop does with men. Literally, picking guys up off the street, picking guys up, one person at a time.
You know, some of the guys who were on the boat with me, they said, Ed, I didn't even think about a drink or a drug. Just being out here, seeing what we're doing, cleaning the river, going to meetings. There's always something going on here.
In the epicenter of Philadelphia's heroin epidemic, Kensington, a longtime facility aimed at helping those dealing with addiction may soon have to close. It's called The Last Stop, and the city says it's not playing by the rules.
I invited him over for a random Monday night dinner. And then like towards the end, he's like, oh yeah, here's a paper that I'm working on. We're in dire need of people to support us. And I was like, what is this about? So he said that the city was trying to sue him for $1.7 or $1.8 million at that point. What my understanding was, it was just him not having the proper zoning and permitting to do what he's doing there.
$1.7 million they're suing me for. got me a little upset because they're wasting all that energy. And don't forget, there's a crisis. On this block alone, from that corner to that corner, 5 people died here. I believe if we had our meetings here every day like we normally did, I believe maybe we could have touched 1 person. But the thing is, because the doors are shut, 5 people, 1 in that alley, 1 on that porch, 1 down here. 3 days ago, 1 died right at that trash can, and another guy died on the septic steps.
I mean, I understand there's rules and they're there for a reason, but I mean, I know he even got in trouble because he was giving out free peanut butter and jelly sandwiches to the people because he doesn't have the proper zoning for that, which when you see people sleeping on the street and using muddy water to inject in their veins to get high, a peanut butter jelly sandwich just, I don't know, it just doesn't seem like that should be worried about. I just couldn't believe, like, he was being put through this, and it just really upset me because I know what he's doing down there. And I just was like, I'm gonna post something. People needed to know what was going on because so many people really value that place. So I feel like if people had the opportunity to help him like he's helped them, they would step up, and that was really my purpose.
If it leaves, then what? Where are these people going to go? Who are they going to seek help from? Because there's not a lot of hands out there. If you have no insurance, no ID, no money, you can come to the last stop, get a meal, get clothes. Eddie will help you out in any way possible, as long as you're doing the next right thing.
I wouldn't have had a shot if the last stop wasn't open. Places like this turn people into positives. They need these doors to be open. Not saying that everybody walks through here will be recovered, but they'll at least have a shot.
We're all planning to attend court with Eddie because we feel strongly about the last stop and we feel strongly about recovery. And the last stop has done a lot for a lot of people without really asking for much in return.
The lawyer called Nate. Nate is like my buddy, and he's helping me with some of that stuff. The lawyer told him that we came to a settlement and you're allowed to have your meetings, and they gave us the green light.
Why they're still working out the details of, zoning and everything. They have dropped the lawsuit down to maybe $30,000. It's if that.
There was cheers, there was happiness, unity. It worked out good, everything worked out.
There was just so many people that got involved and wanted to support my dad. Honestly, the most valuable part of it, besides helping my dad with that, was just reading all the stories people had. And it wasn't just from people that were in recovery, it was just the family members, just knowing their son or daughter was safe and alive. It was amazing.
Some people say it's not possible to get clean in Kensington. I got clean in Kensington. I got clean at the last stop.
People who've moved away, they come back and they share their story with us and they tell us, yeah, well, I came through the last stop, like 10 years ago, 8 years ago, and this is what I'm doing now.
Came in 75 pounds, long hair. Now, yes, it's a six-pack Brad Pitt body.
We all stick up for each other. We're all here for each other. We help each other. When new guys come in, we do what was done for us and we help them. And it's like a chain reaction. It's like paying it forward. And it just keeps on going.
Because of places like this, if I can reach out to people. You know what I'm saying? I have somewhere to go and I have somewhere to ask help. And I have, people that'll take their time out and listen. And maybe they've experienced it in their life,
Drugs are interwoven into the fabric of this community, and until you find a way to get rid of them, you're going to need places like the last stop so people can find a pathway back to recovery. Like Eddie always says, every individual is a story and is important, and the last stop is important, but people and their lives and their goals and their recovery is what really matters.
Steve, that was amazing and moving. I think one thing that I took away from it, there's an iconic shot of Ed Z at the river, arms outstretched from the back, that just I will always carry with me. I know sometimes one of the things I love about documentary is you don't know what's going to happen, and sometimes there is a magical moment. Was that a magical moment that day?
Absolutely, yeah, the whole day was magical. That was sort of just, Eddie says, well, go down the river with us. We had no idea what we were getting into. And there was a kid in the class, there was a student in the class who had cerebral palsy who wanted to take the class. And I'm actually the disabled advisor to students at Villanova. So he's one of my students. He wanted to take the class, and he's in a 2-ton wheelchair. And so we have to go down to the river and walk about a mile to this path over gravel and get him all the way to the chute, to Outward. And then Eddie, I don't know if you've heard of it, that there's a big place out there where they're going to knock it down, but it's kind of like this old railroad trestle. And Eddie actually stays up on top of it. So he has a ladder that he makes. He puts nails in the wall and climbs up. And he has the students go up to this. I mean, it was really up high. I shouldn't even say that because it was kind of a dangerous situation. So everybody climbed up to this thing, except I stayed down with the student in the wheelchair. And they were up there shooting interviews with Eddie up there. And then, of course, he was just looking out. And I don't know who got the camera and just took that shot. And I agree. It's like, it's the perfect image for the film. What can I say? Without getting religious
Somebody giving everything.
Just putting their hands out there, you know, kind of a salvation moment. So I agree with you. I think it was, and again, you know, you make films. Everything's accidental. You know, greatness happens, and you just have to be there to get it. Yeah.
It does, and you know when it's magic.
Yeah.
You're crying, the crew's crying.
Sure.
Yeah, it was an amazing thing. Was that now? Over what period of time did you do this? Because we see people who come in to meet Ed, and they're really messed up, and then you see them later, and they're helping him with the next people who are coming in.
Well, we were down, I guess, it was over a period of a couple months. We went down there probably about 6-7 times and spent a couple hours with him every time we were down there. We try to go down, and we don't want to just go down with cameras and just start shooting people, which, you know, we've made that mistake, which you don't. You want to go down and really do some reconnaissance and find out what you're getting into, and then really get the people, build up a relationship of trust before you put a camera in someone's face. So we spent a lot of time down there just looking and meeting people and talking with people, and then kind of picking out who would be agreeable to be in the film, and then who would be interesting, and who really kind of got what we were trying to do, and present the best face of the place, not just randomly just give us information. Because, you know, when you put a camera in someone's face, you can get a lot of unplanned stuff, and it's good, but you can also get a lot of stuff that doesn't really fit into what you're trying to do. So you want to shoot purposefully if you can, because you're a limited time. So you don't want to just go down and shoot and say, well, where's my story when I come home? So you sort of want to know who you're going after first before you go down with cameras, which we did. So we kind of looked at the place over, got some characters, and then talked to them, had conversations, so we got their backstories, found out how, you know, if they bought into what we were trying to do, that we were trying to help them tell their story to help other people, and that worked out. So then we would go back with cameras, and so we spent a good deal of time down there, and we did it over a period of time. So we were doing other things at the same time. So we were doing it the other parts of the piece. So we didn't just do Eddie contiguously, and it was really when Eddie could do it. So you could call Eddie at any minute. He goes, yeah, come on down right now. Hey, yeah, come on right down. I'm going down the river right now. Get your cameras down. And he's got that, you know, he's got that Pacino cadence to him, you know.
Pacino, that
would play him. That's why I would have Pacino play him, you know. But he, and that's the way. And a lot of it had to do with what Eddie was willing to do and what he was willing to share. Because, you know, you're really, you don't want to be invasive. You don't want to you know, offend anybody's sensibilities, and you certainly don't want to offend their dignity as human beings just because they're in a bad spot. So there's a fine line, and students, you know, this is the first time for students to be down there. So you got to kind of school the students in making the film, the equipment, but also the sensitivity of interviewing people, of talking to people, and they're shy 18 to 21-year-olds. They're not seasoned people to go out and have conversations with strangers, particularly if you're not from Philadelphia, you don't know anything about Kensington, you know nothing about opioid addiction. So maybe you're coming from St. Louis. We had a girl from the class in St. Louis, nice girl, and she's down there, and initially shocked because if you've seen the images of
It's rough,
Kensington,
yeah.
it's shocking. It's a
is
really
really shocking.
really extreme situation. So you got to be sensitive to the students and their first time experience, you know. Because I'm an old guy and I'm sitting there going, wow, this is hard to process. So you have to kind of pay attention to that. You got other people going through struggling or just day to day. You have some people in recovery, they're struggling. You got Eddie Z who's trying to pile it all together. He's got a pending lawsuit from the city while we're making the film. So there were just so many factors, and the fact that it comes together, and I think it tells the truth in a very short period of time and captures sort of the essence of Eddie's magic. That's really the happy ending to it, you know. Even though there's not a happy ending to it, but from our point of view, I think we're satisfied that we did what we said we were going to do, which was really represent them to the public and sort of humanize the issue a little bit more than maybe the newspapers have time to do. So that's my take on Eddie and the piece. So.
I think what it does so importantly is it brings hope. And on that, thank you so much, Steve. Please know if there's somebody in your life struggling with addiction, there are so many options for recovery in our city and in our country, and we hope that you'll reach out for help. Please join us next time. I'm Carole Adrienne. I'm also a documentary filmmaker, the producer of Civil War Medicine, a 4-part series in production, and you can see that at civilwarrx.com.